But this year when we went, it looked a little bit different. And when I was there, the UN seat was empty. And several people noted the fact that the UN seat not only was the UN seat forum at the forum empty, but we heard someone say, and now the Islamic Republic of Iran will speak. We were like, nah, that can't be Iran, because we thought maybe someone just was sitting in their seat, but someone gets up and says, on behalf of the Islamic Republic of Iran, we recognize the issues of racism and xenophobia that continue to impact the world. And so we're like, what world do we live in where Iran is speaking out at a Black People's Declaration and the US government is not there? I say that for two things. One, to thank the Avery for sending me to the forum the first time, and two, to remind us of the importance of spaces like this in in some ways, this is not unique, but in some ways, this is very, very, very different than what we've seen before. And so I just want to, again, uplift the Avery and thank you all for being here even on this campus as we continue the struggle of talking about what it means to be Afro-descendant, what it means to be Black, and what it means to exist in this world and advocate for equality recognition. Having said that, my reflections will be on the virtual survey of Afro-Peruvian youth, citizen participation, and effects of COVID-19. So this is going to be broken up into 5 pieces briefly. An introduction, overview of the research. And I want to highlight 2 things here. We're going to talk about logistics, what it means to do field research, for those of y'all who are looking at doing field research, and also positionality. One of the things that I don't get to talk about a lot, but I wanted to talk about here is about what it means to be a Black person, what it means to be an African American, what it means to be a citizen of the United States researching outside the United States, researching Black people outside the United States, researching in Peru. So I wanted to have a little bit of that talk here. So this presentation, I've been working with Afro-Peruvian organizations since 2004. I was a Fulbright, and Tiffany, I hope they're still there when you apply for them. We are advocating so that the State Department doesn't get rid of them, because in their most recent budget, they apparently are telegraphing they want to get rid of the whole Fulbright program, but we are hoping that that gets stopped, and it probably will, we hope. My master's thesis was on Afro-Peruvian organizations, building on my Fulbright research, and my PhD dissertation was looking at Afro-Peruvian and Afro-Ecuadorians and comparing how they advocated for rights from 1980 to 2016. And I defended that dissertation in this very room on October the 4th, 2022. So the Avery, I have done my best to make the Avery as much a part of my research and my time here, not just taking y'all's money, but also being in presence, because to me, as I've said before, this is the heart of Blackness on this campus. And so I find myself rooted here in everything here. So what my research looks at, we know that Afro-descendant populations have a different political identity compared to other groups in some countries. For example, the United States, we know that Black people tend to vote Democrat, tend to be socially conservative, economically liberal, tend to vote for public programs. In Ecuador and Brazil, Blackness looks a little bit different. In Brazil, you had a 60-40 split in the last election between the Trump-esque Bolsonaro and President Lula. And in Ecuador, the election that was just held, while a lot of Black persons voted for the candidate who did not win, the progressive candidate, a significant group voted for the conservative candidate, more so than you would see here in the US. So the point is that sometimes in political science, we look at, because so much has been written about Black people in the United States, we're like, oh, well, that means all Black people do X, Y, Z. And it's like, nah, you have to look at race and all the different contexts and what it means to be Black in different contexts. So in Peru, one thing we've seen is that differences of public opinion by race and ethnic groups are not considered in mainstream academic or professional polls. For example, I can go online right now to CNN and tell you that 1 out of every 5 Black men voted for Donald Trump, and that 93% of African-American women voted for Kamala Harris, right? Peru, it is not considered a cleavage worth analyzing to see what Black people think. That is where Peruvian political thought is. And so part of my research is saying, not only do Black people exist in this country, but they have a political identity. And we need to understand what that political identity looks like and how complex it is. And I would argue that the things we're seeing in Latin America about there being a diversity of Black political opinion, African Americans in the United States have a diverse political opinion too. We just haven't interrogated these concepts, or rather, the community knows some things that the scholars and pundits on TV are just now learning. Well, we'll talk about that's another discussion another time. So my research that I did in cooperation with the Black group in Peru was a mixed method study. So this group in Peru that I've worked with for now going on 20 years, we did a survey of 440 persons in the middle of COVID, and we found 440, of which 300 identified as Afro-Peruvian. We did all this virtually. I should say, for context, Black people in Peru make up about 5% of the population. So you're looking at about, out of 27 million, about 1 to 2 million identify as Afro-Peruvian. Most Afro-Peruvians live in Lima, with a significant portion in the north of the country as well. So after we went through and did the survey to gather the data, then we did a qualitative survey looking at 27 questions for 34 people, selected from quantitative sample, taking into account diversity of opinion, gender, religion. So after we got our sample, then we went through and we asked people. So we actually made it a point to ask different regions, and we went through and said, okay, let's find a queer person from the South and do a qualitative interview. Let's do a conservative person from the North, because we wanted to dig into the data. So this was a mixed methods project. And we did this in 2021 in the middle of COVID again. So this was the data collection. This is me and my data team in Peru. And one of the things we wanted to do was we wanted to interrogate the notion that research could only be done in Peru by certain groups. So we took a group of Black professionals. Leah to my left, she is a psychologist, and Sandro to my right, he just did his bachelor's in sociology. So we were like, Black people can study Black people and actually create a good research sample, you know? And so we did that. So we had some restrictions because it was pandemic. So there are some things we could not do, but we used what we could do, and we were able to get a good survey that may not be representative, but it gives a window. And so this is something that allows us to think about, what does it look like to be Afro-Peruvian? What does it look like to be a youth in Peru? And how are things similar and how are things different? So what we found, again, was that only one Black person voted for the person who ended up becoming the president. Of the Afro-descendants, more than 90% knew someone with COVID-19, and a quarter of the people we interviewed had gotten COVID-19 themselves. Between our groups, we had a control group, which was the mestizos. People who identified as Afro-descendants were more likely to say that there is prejudice against Afro-Peruvians relative to other groups. Now, in this country, you're like saying, well, duh, right? In Peru, we're still interrogating the notion of what discrimination looks like, and do people get discriminated against? So it is important for us to remind people, compared to an average, to a normal group or to a normalized group, Black people are more likely to say we were discriminated against. That is important. Also, people who identify as Afro-descendant are more likely to say that the police discriminate against Afro-descendant youth more so than other ethnic groups. Again, this country and Brazil were like, that's not a surprise. In Peru, for us to say that when we surveyed this group of Black youth, we found that Black youth are more likely to say that the police discriminate against them relative to the other groups, that is a significant finding. We also found that within the Black population, there were different priorities for what they wanted. And it also appeared that there was no tendency of Afro-descendants towards a party or ideology. That's important because what we learned was that whereas here we say Black people here may be Democrat or Republican, Peru, those types of ideas really, it's more complex. So logistics. I wanted to talk about the fact that doing field research means you got to prepare for it. Now, being in a developing country, this is the guy, Alex, who identifies as Afro-Peruvian. He was my driver. He's been my driver now for 15 years. And there are things you have to do to take care of yourself. So I made it a point so you just don't go show up in someone's country. There's some things you need to figure out ahead of time and understand. You can not, preparation lowers risk, but can't eliminate risk. So things that I'm thinking about when I'm abroad are transportation, lodging, health and food, personal security, managing data. One example, then I'll move to positionality. I got robbed at a Starbucks in Peru. And for those of y'all who know, Starbucks is like my favorite drink, so it was shocking to me. But because I had emptied my backpack, I walked with the empty backpack every day. I only had on me what was needed. I was prepared for that. So something to say that sometimes when we travel, people, as a researcher, you have to be mindful of the fact, what do I do to protect myself, protect my data, and make sure that I get what I need to get out? So I always backed up my tapes every day. They got my notebook, unfortunately, but they didn't get much else because I didn't have much else on me. I was prepared for the day. Positionality. So one of the things I had to realize, and I'll close with this, is that I had to come with the understanding of my identities and privileges. As a United States citizen, as a heterosexual cisgendered male, as university educated and economically advantaged. I had to remind myself of these things dealing with the community where I was. Not saying that there was a hierarchy, saying this is who I am into this space. So knowing who I am in this space, I now have to understand what that means in this space. Also understanding, researching while Black, community relations and expectations. So for example, this group right here are people who I've worked with in Peru for over 20 years. The guy to my left, Osvaldo Bilbao, is the leader of the group that I worked with. When I started researching in Peru, they said to me, we expect you to behave differently than white persons. You're not here to extract the knowledge. You're here to work with us to produce something. We hold you to a higher standard because we're asking more of you. And I told them, I said, I would not have a degree. I wouldn't have my research if it wasn't for the community. And whenever I get a chance, I've always tried to work with the community and make sure that what we do is to uplift the entire community. And that's a challenge that I've taken up because Tiffany can tell you, and Camila can tell you, those of us who do research outside the United States, some of our colleagues are less salubrious when it comes to what they give back. And also, I want to close with the challenges to relating with the broader academic community. Even though I'm a UChicago PhD, even though I'm coming from a white university, I'm still researching a marginalized group. Black people in Peru, there aren't many Black professors. Black studies in Peru seem to stop at the 1700s. It's like Black people weren't slaves. Wow, that's wonderful. And so when I went to Peru with the privilege of being from an elite university, the Peruvians were like, there's nothing we can do to help you because we don't study this. This is not a part of our academic lexicon. So having to push not only for my own research, but to advocate for a space for the community was something that my colleagues here didn't understand because I had to explain to them, it's easy for you to go find these elite groups in your countries. While I'm an American, I'm still Black, working with Black people. And that's something that I had to internalize. So it was a great time. The Avery allowed me to go back to Peru for the first time since the pandemic to further my research. I'm working on the articles now. And again, I just would encourage you, whatever you do, whatever research you do, because all of us have the capacity to do research in various ways, be mindful of who you are, how you show up, and how you give back. Thank you. And thank you, Avery, for allowing me to be here.
I'm just kidding. Thank you. All right. So this is where we're going to make a transition. Everybody take a stretch, get some air. All right, ready? Going in. So we have a new organization here at the College of Charleston, which we are very excited to debut. They're making their debut here, exclusive. And so I'm going to invite up the members of the College of Charleston African American Studies Society.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Professor Antron Mahoney. I'm a faculty member in the African American Studies program here. And this semester, I had the pleasure and privilege to work with a group of students in establishing a student organization dedicated to African American studies. And so this came about, well, I'll start here. Anyone who knows anything about African American studies, you know that student involvement and student engagement is at the heart of the field, right, of the discipline. The first African American Studies department was established in 1968 at San Francisco State. And that was due to student protests, student advocacy, and almost every African American studies program and department that followed 1968 also came about through student protests and student advocacy, right? No university was like, Black studies, let's do that, right? And so as other folks have noted, given the change in political climate, and this point where it seems like everyone is trying to say what Black studies is, this seems like a great time for us to get back to the foundation of Black studies, which is reconnecting to the student engagement and student involvement so that we can tell our story about what is Black studies, what is African American studies. And so I threw out a call of this semester of students who might be interested in figuring out what this looks like and like what this could be. And all of these brave souls here answered that call. And so we've been working throughout this semester, really from the ground up, from scratch, thinking about, what is the mission? What will this look like? What will some things we want to accomplish? Also, what are some of the pitfalls or gaps, when it comes to, African American studies on the campus of CFC. And so they've been wonderful in answering all of these questions and really thinking through all of this. And so, as Dr. Butler said, this is our, I guess, soft launch of the organization. And then hopefully in the fall, we'll hit the ground running and you'll see us maybe more on campus. And so I'm going to turn it over to the group and let them introduce the organization as well as themselves. But give them a round of applause for the work that they've done so far. So, Trinity.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Trinity Priestley. I'm going to be introducing our mission statement. So collectively, we thought of this program to be something that would bring awareness to, can everyone see this clearly? Okay. Yeah. I don't know what that was. Okay. So our mission is to promote awareness of African American studies at CFC by acting as an immersed bridge between African American studies and the applied practice of the discipline, including strengthening connections between faculty and students, campus and community, and curriculum and careers to solidify the relationship between the past, present, and future of African American studies. As an organization, as a student-led organization, we work together to bridge these gaps through our co-curricular education, community outreach, and professional development aimed to equip majors and minors and general enthusiasts with the knowledge, skills, and values through African American studies to be organizers, advocates, and change makers in their community and society.
Okay, so the name of our organization is Binya, and it has Gullo origins, local. And we chose this name because it has a certain way of connecting African American past, present, and future, as well as a way of saying, hey, we've been here and we're not going anywhere.
Back again. So this is everyone involved in our organization and that helped it be what it is today. Darius unfortunately couldn't make it with us, but he's our historian. His majors is profession studies, organization management with a minor in African American studies. He's from Beaufort, South Carolina. He has been a genetic genealogist for the past 8 years. He tells us that African American studies has allowed him to learn so much more about African American experience that has satisfied his love for Black history.
Hello, my name is Elliot, and I'm one of the social media coordinators, and I'll be helping with the newsletter that we're going to run. I'm a double major in women's and gender studies and African American studies, and I chose to major in African American studies. I transferred here, and my first semester, I was supposed to be in this chemistry class. Day one, I dropped it, and I was able to get into one of Dr. Crabtree's courses, which was cross-listed with the WGS department. And in her class, it became apparent to me that I couldn't fully do WGS without also doing AAST. And the next semester, I declared.
All right, my name is Kyle, and I'm a double major, African American Studies and Marketing. I recently became an African American Studies major from the minor like a month ago, and I also have a minor in management. I'm from Charleston, and I chose to become an African American Studies major because I took the intro class and I couldn't go away from it, and I just wanted to stick and learn more about the studies.
I'm Trinity. I'm a middle grades education major with a concentration in English and history and a minor in African American studies. I was raised in the Low Country. I was first introduced to the program through Dr. Green's class during Spectra. It was my first time ever really experiencing like Black literature, Black experience, like in an academic sense. And since then, I fell in love with it. I've taken, I think, maybe 3 or 4 classes so far. I've read my first book by Black authors, and it's just been really transformative for me. Yeah.
My name is Jay Platt, and I am going into my senior year at CFC. I'm going to be a social media co-coordinator, and I am I've been all over the southeastern US throughout my life. So whether I like it or not, I've just witnessed a lot of different sorts of Black culture. And that sort of led me into taking a lot of African American studies courses once I got to CFC. I started in Spectra, taking one of Dr. Green's courses as well. And since then I'm in my 3rd course. So yeah. Ooh.
Okay, so we've sort of outlined what our big mission is, but as far as next steps and things that we'd like to get rolling heading into next semester, we kind of have 3 buckets that things fall into. The first goal we have, which is one of the big things that we've consistently talked about with this student group, is educating incoming CFD students about the major and the minor, but also students who are already on campus. We would like to do a lot of work around clearing up misconceptions about what the major is, what it is we actually study, what it is we actually do, by having a more increased presence at the major, minor fair campus events, as well as recruiting people to join the department.
Another goal of ours is to build a community between the people who are participating in African American studies throughout campus, so majors and minors, and also other students who are not declared yet, me included. But we plan to have social events where we're able to meet other people who are studying our fields, even just normal movie screenings. We plan on having a newsletter that we're sending out, and just making sure that there is a connection between all the students on campus who are involved in the program. So.
And our last goal is to bridge the gap between the curriculum and the applied practice. So what this looks like is helping explain to students who might be interested in African American studies who are already in it, what happens after you get your degree in African American studies, with major or minor. We noticed a lot of students aren't really sure what to do after they get the degree, or what's even the point of getting an African American studies degree, but this is why we want to bridge the gap.
Well, again, as you can see, everything that they just presented to you were all things that they came up with. I was just a supporter in the room. And so, again, as you can see, we're really excited about what this organization can be. And so as we get started in the fall, definitely look out for us and definitely support them wherever you can. So thank you.
I'm so excited. Congratulations. Y'all are off to a great start and know that Avery can be home base. And so we're going to make a transition from this to just a couple words from our graduates. And so this is including, so we're going to start with Kayla Blanchard. And Kayla is, I don't know where, I saw, there we go. All we want to do is we want to invite you up to tell us a little bit about your work. So Kayla was awarded the Karen Chambers Fellowship. Yes, Kayla, we still owe you a check. So we're gonna make sure you get that. Don't you worry. And so for us, there was a family that moved from California. Eric and Karen Chambers moved here probably 2020, 2021. And then that same year, not too long after their move, Ms. Chambers passed away. And so, but she had a love of and a commitment and interest in African-American history. And so for us, the family decided that in lieu of flowers, that they would create a fellowship. So they awarded us $10,000 that we've been able to give out 1,000 or so every year to a student that is in a master's program that their research focuses our center's African American history and culture, public history as well. And so in the past years, we've awarded that to Mateo Merida and Lauren Davila. I always be trying to get fancy with people's last names. It's not necessary. And so this year, our recipient is Kayla. And I wanted to invite you up to share a little bit about your research.
Hi, everybody. My name's Kayla Blanchard, and I am can y'all see me? I'm kind of short. I might stand off to the side. Whole 5 foot tall. I'm getting my master's next year. I'll be done in public history. So currently, my research focuses on conjure, Christianity, resistance in the enslaved community. And I spend a lot of my time working in public history. So currently, I'm the lead aide at McLeod Plantation, a historic site. And I look over, thank you, I look over interpretation on the site on a day-to-day basis. And I've noticed in our visitors, a lot of people have one idea of resistance, which is only self-emancipation. But what do you do when you're enslaved somewhere on an island? So your resistance looks a little bit different. It's day-to-day. So again, I'm changing my research interests. Anyone who's getting a master's, I think, understands that it changes a lot in the short little 2 years that we have. But in my work, I have the honor of giving voices to hundreds of enslaved men, women, and children that have been purposefully left outside of the archive. So I take what I do in interpretation very serious, understanding that people who see me, it might be their first time really talking in depth about slavery. So with the support, the almost financial support, I didn't want to, we're getting there. I didn't want to, I'm glad you said it. I said, oh Lord, I don't know what I'm saying up here. But I've gotten the opportunity this semester to speak at the South Carolina African American History Commission Conference, or SCAHC, at the History and Archive Center in Columbia. And I met a lot of great people from the Low Country and all over the state. I met some more folks from Liberty Hill, learned about that history, different food pathways in the Low Country. There was Cecil Hill was there, or Cecil Williams was there. So I was able to meet him and hear more about South Carolina's civil rights history, but I was able to present on my work what is hoodoo? What is conjure? What does it mean? And a little bit about it, so I don't eat up everybody's time. It's almost low country voodoo is what some people call it, but it's not a religion, it's a spiritual practice. There are no gods inside of hoodoo. And a lot of these practitioners in the years I focus on, which is 1700 to about 1880, most of them are Christian. So there comes my research question. If we know that magic in the Christian faith is a bad thing, where is this line drawn for the enslaved? Is there a line? And again, bringing up that this is an act of resistance. So I was able to network while I was there and meet a lot of folks throughout the state that were interested in my research so we can bounce ideas off of each other. And it was overall a really great experience. And again, the money from the foundation will go to covering hotel and registration costs and all those things with conferences. But to wrap up, I have a great amount of gratitude in my heart to receive something like this. Tamara called me randomly before I started here, and she was like, "You're going to CFC, right? Do you study Black people in any way?" And I was like, "Of course I do." So thank you guys so much for thinking of me and considering me for this fellowship. It's not a lot of young Black women pursuing graduate degrees. So to be able to have visibility in this space, I really thank the Avery for that and giving me a chance to go out and present my work to the masses. So thank y'all so much.
Like I said, we'll get you your check. All right. So we're gonna open it up now to our undergraduates. And so our first presenter or our first reflection will come from Diaji Kelly, who is a special education major here at the College of Charleston.
Hey guys.
Let me move this up.
Okay. So starting here at CFC, I never knew I had like such a place existed on campus. I remember coming here as a freshman, like excited to be around Black people, and then there were none to be around. So a place like this is filled with so much opportunity, love, and laughter. I remember going on a tour with Dr. Harris's class, and I'll forever be grateful for you for leading me here. And I remember walking and thinking, like, it's quite far. It's quite the journey from campus, but I remember approaching the building and I was like, this huge, huge building, and nobody told me this was here. And they're Black. Like, why? Where is this? Like, I've never even heard of the like Avery Research Center before that tour. But when I did go on the tour, I remember falling in love with the homey feel of the building. And ever since that first time Darren said, "Welcome home," I haven't left since. So thank you for that. I asked for a job that same day, and I've been blessed to be here ever since. I was able to not only find a job, but a family away from home when I feel homesick, bonds that will last a lifetime, and the best place for naps and free food. Just by being here and knowing the right people, I've been able to go places I never thought I'd go. I was able to go to the White House with Dr. Millicent Brown. Even I just able to meet so many important people to the communities around me, and how important it is to be surrounded by people that look like you and who appreciate you being there and welcome you with open arms. So I'm thankful for all of y'all, for just being there for me, being there for all of us. And I love y'all.
It's like I'll let Darren tell that story about their trip to the White House. And so I want to invite up Allison Morris, who is a double major in English and history, and was probably one of the last people to come to our team, but we are so excited that Allison joined us.
Bring this down a little bit. All right, so like Dr. Butler said, I've only been here for about 3 months, but I have learned so much. I grew up about 30 minutes outside Charleston in Somerville. My entire life was spent basically down here. My parents took me to so many museums and plantations. I would take pictures. I loved history. Ironically enough, I did not come to CFC to be a history major. I had no idea what I was going to do. But I had a wonderful gen ed history professor who reignited my love for it, because growing up, especially in middle and high school, when everything's supposed to get more detailed, you're supposed to be growing up, maturing, understanding more of history. We just got the same old spiel about, oh, slavery was a thing. Okay, moving on, we're going to talk about World War II. We didn't learn more about the horrors of slavery and the horrors of the KKK. I didn't know who Harriet Jacobs or Stokely Carmichael were until I came here to CFC, which is just embarrassing to say because I grew up here and I went to school with so many Black people. I didn't have a Black teacher, actually, I think until I came here, which is also just crazy to me. And I got sold that narrative of, Malcolm X is the bad guy, MLK, everybody loved MLK. And it's like, no, that's not at all how it was. And, you can imagine how I was when I came here and I declared my major in history and I had to take a African American history class. And that first day, I just remember being like, oh my God, this is what I've been missing in history. Like, I always loved history, but there was so much more. And from that moment on, it was just like, this is what I want to do. And I was lucky enough to take Dr. Butler and Dr. Harris's race, gender, and environment class, which really just kind of changed my look on academics in general, because I was always the quiet kid in the corner who never said much. And I still get that critique from professors when I'm about to graduate in 3 weeks. But I just remember I opened up more after their class. And then I got to take 2 of Dr. Mahoney's classes. And I am forever grateful to all 3 of them because they really encouraged me to open up more and be more creative with my assignments. And I got to experience more with academics. And that is kind of what brought me to Avery's. I didn't want to just take another class my senior year to finish out. I wanted to do something more. And the moment I told my advisor, I'm a African American studies minor, she's like, you're going to Avery. I'm like, okay. And the moment I walked in here and Darren was showing me around, I walked into the classroom and I was like, oh my God, I've actually been here before. I took a tour. It's like intermediate school or middle school. I can't remember now. And I remember nothing about that day, but walking in that room, it was like deja vu instantly. And as Diage said, it's a joy to come here 3 days a week. I love working in the archives. It feels like home to me. It's something I always wanted to experience as a child, and I'm grateful to now have everything I've gotten here. I've made friends. I have these connections with professors, and it's just been a great way to cap off my senior year. I'm grateful to the African American Studies Department and everybody who works here at Avery. It's been a joy. Thank y'all.
I'm still a thug, so I'm not crying. We want to welcome, thank you, Allison. We want to welcome to the stage David Ruffin, better known as Ashanti Murphy. She is a public health major. Ashanti came in bopping like, I know y'all see me. But I have all respect for Ashanti, who also grew here at Avery. So I wanted to welcome you up and offer some remarks.
All right, so bear with me. So when I first got to the College of Charleston, I had never heard of the Avery Research Center. It wasn't until one of my friends started working here that I really became aware of it. I began attending a few events that caught my interest because I hadn't heard of many places that primarily focused on highlighting and celebrating African Americans in the US and the Lowcountry, especially those who weren't well known but have done so much to improve the lives of other African Americans. Since I don't have a background in history and I'm a public health major, I wasn't too sure what I'd be able to learn at the Avery. But what I found is that the Avery teaches us things that we probably wouldn't learn in a classroom. It teaches community. It encourages us to want to do better. When I first started working here, I was really guarded and kept to myself, and I'm still the same. But being in a space with amazing leaders and great people has shown me what a beautiful community looks like and what we should all strive for, especially with everything going on in the world right now. So I just want to say thank you to the Avery for being such a positive influence in my life and having free food, like DeAndre said.
Circus. That's what we run here at Avery. All right. Last but not least, the senior of the seniors is Patricia Washington. She is an accounting major who has actually been here the longest. And so I'm going to turn it over to Patricia Washington.
Okay. I don't know. We'll see. Had to write it down, y'all. I don't have good memory at all. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Patricia Washington, and I'm an accounting major at the College of Charleston. And while I may be a student at CFC, I'd argue that I'm really a student from the Avery Research Center. I started out working as an undergraduate assistant my freshman year, and little did I know my life would really change forever. I truly don't know what I would have done without every single one of the faculty here. I'd like to give a special thanks to my sister who isn't here today, but introduced me to Darren, who honestly serves too many roles. His resume is too long, but he is our facilities outreach and public programming coordinator and thank you for everyone taking a chance on me. I've had so many amazing moments and opportunities that I wouldn't have gotten without the support of the Avery. Beyond my daily tasks of writing up check requests, aiding researchers, making Excel sheets, transcribing for oral histories, and organizing our archives, to name a few. Additionally, I've co-facilitated a college books read for how the word is passed. I've helped set up for many events and worked with Darren and my fellow students to curate exhibits. My favorite being working with an artist, excuse me if I say it wrong, but Alexandria Sears, yeah, to put her art up in the Cox Gallery for a special dinner we had with the 76ers my sophomore year. I attended conferences and represented the Avery Research Center, my favorite being able to attend the ASALA 2023 conference in Jacksonville, Florida, where I always joke Aisha is a celebrity for the organization. Last year, I also had the exciting opportunity to be a peer facilitator for the Jamaica study abroad over spring break, which would not have happened without the support from our executive director, Tamara Butler, and me just casually yapping on about what wanted to maybe participate in a study abroad and help me find a way to get that experience. It was my first time out the country, and I learned and gained so much insight of what it's like for another culture and their way of living that might be different from my own. I got to do something that at this age, my parents probably could not have imagined doing, and I'm forever grateful, which is why I'd also like to take this moment and state why investing in your students and donating is really valuable, especially to a special place like the Avery Research Center that, as long as this building has been standing, has always made the effort to invest in us, our education, our community, and our freedom, essentially so that we can be socially responsible people and carry that with us and put that back out into our communities, which is something I will take with me. I am also grateful for Erica Veal, our research archivist and interpretation coordinator. During my time at the Avery, I joined one of her CIG courses, which is a course training to help those who want to become a certified interpretive guide for those who do not know. I'm thankful for you supplying me the skills and techniques to give tours, even though I haven't given one yet. I'm still too nervous and anxious. But I'm glad that I got the opportunity and I was able to take on and encourage anyone. And I encourage anyone interested to speak to her about taking that course. I believe all of the faculty has gotten their certification from taking her CIG classes. And to everyone else I haven't mentioned yet, Miss Mayo, our processing archivist, in my opinion, true fashionista, Savannah Fryson, our office manager, our Melantine, Veer Meta, and Nate Hubler, as well as the many students I have worked closely with and grown close attachments to, even those in a short period of time working here. Thank you, and I deeply appreciate my time and experience here with you. You have all made work feel more like a home, a real community. It's not so often you see a place like Avery with the amazing team we have here. And best believe nothing works without everyone doing a little something here and there. Being at the Avery Research Center has taught me the true meaning of how the teamwork makes the dream work. And while this is supposed to be about me and my experiences, and I could go on and on about it, but then we'd be here for days. I just also want to acknowledge the fact that no one person here has one role and that each and every single one of them do absolutely way more than they have to, but they do it anyways because they believe in the Avery Research Center mission to collect, preserve, and promote the unique history and culture of the African diaspora with a focus on the South Carolina Low Country. And more importantly, they believe in the students. They do their very best to preserve and build upon the Avery's legacy. And if you don't know about us, I strongly encourage you to check out our exhibits, look us up on social media, and come visit us for those who are watching online, as well as those who have never been here and would like to know more about what we do. So when Darren says, welcome home to the faculty, administration, everyone who walks through this building, I feel it and I believe it every time. No matter how many tours he gives, when I'm able to follow him or anyone who has given an Avery tour, I always find myself fascinated, curious, and yearning to learn more from them. This is my home, my people, the ones that have always looked out for me. These aren't just people that I work with. This has grown to be my Avery family. Lord. I know that if I need anything beyond being an employee here, I can count on them to do their best to help me and guide me. I've grown special connections here that will stay with me forever, the same way everyone here has somehow found their way back to the Avery Research Center, no matter the time that has passed. I know that I can do the same. So thank you again for the many times you have taught me, helped me grow into the leader and student I am today, fed me, and y'all have fed me really good, listened to me, pulled me out of my comfort zone, given me multiple opportunities, believed in me, and encouraged me is something I can never replace in the Avery. But more importantly, the people here that have made an impact on my life will always hold a special place in my heart. I am just a product of the people who has put their faith in me. And once an Avery student, always an Avery student. So thank you, and I love you all.
Oh, good job, Patricia. Thanks a lot. Sheesh. All right. So the moment we've all been waiting for, we're going to do our chord presentations. I'm going to invite Darren up because Darren hasn't talked. And I feel like Darren has something to say. Hello? No? He's just over there weeping. That's fine. All right.
All right. I can't stand y'all. Oh boy. We love all of our students here at the Avery. This has probably been one of my favorite groups. We had some rough ones. But this has been probably one of my favorite groups of students graduating out. Between Diaje, Patricia, Ashanti, Allison, thank you. Y'all made us better. Earlier, Dr. Butler gave a charge to the Legacy Scholars, and I wanted to do a bit of the same for our students. You know, as all of you at this point know, I went to Morehouse College. Ashe, that's what we do. And we had this great educator from South Carolina called Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays. He gave all of us a charge, and I'm going to give you that same charge. Once you leave these doors, there's an air of expectancy. You are expected to do well. You are expected to do so well that no one living, dead, or yet to be born could do any better. Now you're gonna go out into this world and it's gonna get hard, but you can always come back here. because this village is always going to be home for you. And when I tell y'all, welcome home, I truly mean it. Whether it's been a long time since you've been here, whether it's your first time coming here, we want to welcome you home. Those fingerprints in these walls they mean something. This place was built by us, for us, and it's always going to be here for us. We've been here for 160 years this year. And we're going to be here for another 160 years, God willing, the creek don't rise. You know? So I am ready to call up our graduates. I don't want y'all to leave us, but we need y'all to go forward and come back home. All right? First up, I don't know these kids. De'Aj Kelly, special education. I need you to babysit 7 for me. As my daughter would say, Auntie DJ. Yeah, stay up here. The Rookie of the Year, Allison Morris. Double major, English, history, and double minor in African American Studies and Women and Gender Studies. David Ruffin herself. Thank
you.
Ashanti Murphy. Public Health and a minor in Women and Gender Studies. And before we do this, when this next person first got here, we couldn't get her to say a word. Now we can't get her to shut up. But we love her. Our senior of all the seniors, Miss Patricia Washington. County merger. My Patty Rice say, we appreciate all of you for coming out. We appreciate all of our graduates. And again, this will always be home for all of you. Please leave and then come back. All right? See.
I don't have much else to say that I already haven't, except that I am truly honored. I agree with Darren. I've only been here for 5 years. And so it's been wild to be like, wow, I've watched a whole group of students graduate. This group is really special because they have found each other. They work to each other's strengths. The thing that I think we're also going to miss, Patricia will gather up some students in a heartbeat, but the person who also gathers is De'Aj when she's not napping. And so the thing that I love is that they work well together. They've all really evolved as leaders. Here at Avery, it's been amazing to watch them take on projects. It's been amazing to watch them as we said, find their voice, and also be able to invite other people. So the other thing that also happened is there was a launching of the Students for a Democratic Society, and that has been spearheaded by De'Aj. And so I think one of the things that I can't say enough about this group is that they have already taken the charge, right? They've already been committed, and I can't wait to see them come back. Hopefully one of them will come back and take this job. That'd be really great. But I can't wait that long. But in the meantime, I just want to say congratulations, y'all. We're gonna miss y'all. Thank you so much for making us cry, but also thank you so much for making Avery feel like home, and for also growing in this space. So congratulations. Yes. You got me. You want to say something, Dr. Green? Oh yeah, come on. I didn't know you had a presentation. Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay, so before we close out, we have a presentation from Dr. Green. I also wanted to acknowledge if there are any additional faculty in the audience, please raise your hand so we can see you. That would include you too, Dr. Frazier. There we go. So these are folks who are here at the college. And then we also have Avery staff members that are here as well. Please raise your hands if you didn't go the first time. There we go. All right, we'll get photos from y'all afterwards. And then in the meantime, we will invite Dr. Green up, who is the director of African American Studies. Come on up.
Good afternoon. Thank you to the Avery staff for allowing African American Studies to partake in this award ceremony. Every year, African American Studies gives away 5 awards, student awards. And this year in our college, Language, Cultures, and World Affairs did a little change up, and they were only going to recognize the seniors who are graduating for their awards. And I kindly asked Tamara if we could have 5 minutes to recognize the non-seniors who we give awards to every year. And this year, we have 3 dynamic students we'd like to recognize for the Dr. Ajane Ofunian Community Activism Award, the Dr. Bernie Powers Writing Award in African American Studies, and the African American Studies Rising Scholar Award. So the first award, the Dr. Ajane Ofunian Community Activism Award, recognizes the outstanding service of an African American Studies major or minor to improve the campus or broader community regarding racial equality and social justice issues. Dr. O was a long-standing scholar and activist in Charleston whose work focused on his grandfather, the renowned blacksmith Philip Simmons, and the Gullah Geechee community. His activism extended well beyond the confines of the College of Charleston, but he remained a strong advocate for all of his students. He consistently reminded them of their power, the power they possess, a power they should always wield within the hallowed halls of academia, particularly in this political climate. Although he's no longer with us, his spirit lives with all of us. This year's recipient for the Dr. Ajane Ofunian Community Activism Award is Mr. Aiden Mitchell. Next, we'd like to recognize Dr. Bernie Powers Writing Award in African American Studies. This award recognizes writing achievement by any student enrolled in the course that counts for African American Studies credit, so you don't necessarily have to be a major or minor. Dr. Powers is an emeritus history professor in the Department of History. He is the foremost scholar on the history of Black Charleston, having written the award-winning book, Black Charlestonians, A Social History. This year's recipient, by the recommendation of our former colleague, Dr. Amadi Crabtree, is of the Dr. Bernie Powers Award Writing Award is Mia Hilton. Ms. Hilton, do you have any of my books? You have any of my books? Ms. Hilton comes to my office at least once a semester, twice a semester, and raids my library. I'm just checking, okay. Last but not least, the African American Studies Rising Scholar Award recognizes outstanding academic achievement by a sophomore or junior African American Studies major or minor. Each year, the African American Studies gathers to discuss some of the exceptional young students. In these discussions, we consider their academic performance in our classes, their involvement in campus activities, and most importantly, their character as individuals. During this discussion, we quickly and easily agreed on who best embodies the spirit of this award. This year's recipient of the African American Studies Rising Scholar Award is Mr. William Jenkins. Finally, African American Studies had a successful job search this year. So in this fall of 2025, we will be bringing in a new faculty member, Dr. Allison Kibbe from Yale University. She will be our Black food scholar. During this process, we brought to campus 4 candidates. And during this time on campus, we asked for our students to volunteer their time to provide tours or talk more about the African American Studies program from their perspective. And for each one of our 4 candidates, we had one student in particular who volunteered every time, stepped up every time, and carved at least an hour out of her schedule to walk around campus and talk about African American Studies, talk about Avery, talk about the College of Charleston overall, talk about the city of Charleston, so forth and so on. She did not have to do this. She volunteered to do this, and you've seen her earlier today in the program. And I want to recognize Ms. Trinity Priestley. And this is just a small token of our appreciation for her dedication and contributions to African American studies. At some point, she's going to end up majoring in African American studies. She just doesn't know it yet. Thank you all.
Trying to leave me. All right. Now we did it. Yes, those are very important. I don't know how I forgot that, but I want to say thank you once again. You know, this is one of the things that we're hoping that we will continue to do is grow this program. Today has been awesome. We started the morning off with the Legacy Scholars, and then we're ending it here with our African American Studies students and our Avery students. And so I just want to thank each and every one of you for being here. We didn't pay Patricia for that commercial, but we're going to get her to run that back. Because it's true about donate, please. Thank you so much. But in the meantime, please enjoy one another. Feel free to look around on this floor. Take snacks, please, because they've been paid for and somebody got to eat them or they're just gonna take them and throw them in the trash. The second floor is our permanent exhibit that Allison has reminded us of. And then on the way down, I think there's one small exhibit. But definitely come back and see us. Oh, before we go, Darren turned off my screens. But if you've never been to Avery, or if you're looking to come back, this is finals week. This is the final week for students, and so to kick that off, we're going to do a series, a very short series, with the writer Trisha Hersey. And so, if you've ever read Rest is Resistance, or you're interested in her new book, We Will Rest, she will be here on campus, and so she'll be here Monday. She starts Monday night. But she'll have she and I will be in conversation. You are all invited. 5:00, 5:30. 5:30 on Tuesday. She'll be back here in this building. And then again on Wednesday, that is also open to anyone. She's going to do a writing workshop. So it's very rare that writers will give their time, but she's also a very curious researcher. So she'll be here hanging out in our archives when she's not offering events. So please, if you're on Instagram or any social media, all that information is there. Reservations are encouraged. We encourage you to, save your seat, but if not, drop by, bring a friend. And it will definitely be engaging. So one thing that Patricia Hersey likes to do, if you're the kind of person that's like, I've had a long day and I don't know if I want to come, she loves it when you sleep during her events because that's what she encourages. So if you want to come and take a quick nap and have a snack, you're more than welcome to do that. So we hope to see you back in the building on Tuesday and Wednesday. And if not, safe travels and thank you so much once again. All the African American Studies Department recipients, award recipients, can we get you to the front as well as our graduates so we can take pictures? I love how it sings. Well, I don't care about it. Look, I had I forgot to clean fresh stuff. Yeah, and I gotta wear the other one tomorrow. Sorry. Not change your mind, but I told her to take a car, so she was to stay at home. I'm trying to get her out. Yeah, all you gotta do is you just gotta get, your glasses gotta be bigger though. You know, they gotta have the like, the taller frames. That's all you need. Yeah. It's either that or you take Marshall with you. These are your options. Not Marshall. Yes. That's all you have. Oh, that stuff feels good. Don't worry about the. Take a lot of it. Figure it out. All of it. Know ourselves that now.
Do you retreat with working environment?
That's why that would be a question I would ask. Chicken, I want a chicken. That'll be a question I ask. No, this is what I thought. I always bring a potato with. Wow.
think it goes to what Patricia said. We have support here. So, I don't think. All right, they can also. Okay, they go, Cotton. Family. My neighbor likes to make a little work. Experience too. Get all the trap arms. Okay. Best wishes for you guys from being kidnapped. She's not being because again, I would have taken her home with no strings attached. She wants to go to the hospital. She's not. No, it was like when you have her right. She has a beef dish she's trying to make. Okay. It's also. Oh, did you? Saturday. It's tomorrow Easter. Everybody get home. I ain't going nowhere yet. Ain't nowhere yet. So her, go show you the test. I'm gonna drop you off. Just on my way home. Don't worry, I'm gonna come by the street. I know, and I'm about to pass it going home, and I'm gonna be going right back. Get a little bit more back. I'm just mad that oh, take one. Oh, that green with insurance, all right? Yeah. Oh. Flavor it, leave them on. Dude, you got one for later, please. Yeah, celebrate. We don't always. Oh, yeah, especially when we saw how quickly. Because they weren't even doing last year, they did. Yeah, yeah. That's gonna be good. If you're gonna hear that, you can hear, but just, I'm gonna sense I can hear it. That's what I'm saying. It's not like there's no connection. Especially in this moment when all of these programs is under attack, even more reason why we need to, so our numbers can look like, wow, look at all these, you know. Yeah, it was enough people between the two for sure. Yeah, and you can still, yeah. It's gonna be interesting. I feel like we're gonna get a little bit more. Yeah. I appreciate everything she's done, but it's so like painful, like romantic. You gotta let it flourish. And it's not gonna do that with you. Well, she said, oh, Avery. And then you came in and said,
When I think the first year students, the group that just graduated, they tried to get the second year students to come back here frequently. Every Friday, every other Friday, she would order sandwiches, and they stopped. And then this cohort, I can tell you, I couldn't find a return. The only lazy scholar I know is always as mom is always here, like she's always present. I can tell you.
Might have been in Taylor because they the class of us separately, but it even might have. Yeah, so it's the me, but like 2-3 times that. That's what it's like.
Yeah, because I mean, even if that's class, yeah, she's not. And I was like, it's like, damn.
I see that in Trader Joe's. Seriously.
That's what like what's going on, but yeah, was that it?
No, her and what's the other girl? They were a scholarship last year. No, Valerie took pictures of them because they were.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, she was.
I think all three.
Yeah. So she's weird. Because one of them, I never seen. That's what I think they had to do.
Yeah.
I think that was.
That was it. You can always try to work, but when you first take things like box, I can't work it. But okay, it's easy for you too.
Yeah.
But then after just everybody
Not the one who's here. But they're friends. They're friends. But the other one. I could have given Madison word or if it is friends. Dice them all the time. But yeah, but I mean, I was like, I hope I didn't come off hostile, but I was just like, I was really hoping other people were gonna be here, like I was. That's what was directed to her.